On the episode of our show where we have Linda Yang join us, we got really honest about things that are hard, things that don't go well, things that seem to be taken away from us, things that are not how we planned or how we hoped. Maybe that's you. Maybe that's where you're at right now. I mean, it is all of us, but maybe you're in the midst of it right now, in the midst of sadness, pain, disappointment. She brought us this verse out of Lamentations 3:22 to 24. And I love this text because Lamentations is a whole book of bad news, sad crying out to God about everything that's hard. And then there's this little glimpse of light that we get in this verse. Let me read it to you again, just to remind you. Lamentations 3:22 to 24 says, God's loyal love couldn't have run out. His merciful love couldn't have dried up. It's created new every morning. How great your faithfulness. I'm sticking with God. I'm going to say it over and over because he's all I got left. I love how the message kind of plays it out in sort of simple language for us, but it makes me often think about that famous Mr. Rogers quote. You know, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, this amazing, prolific kids entertainer, and he talks about when he was young and scared watching the news or disturbed by difficult things on TV, his mom would always say to him, "Don't be afraid, look for where the helpers are. Watch on the news and see who's helping." And it would change his perspective of the news story. So if you're seeing, chaos or violence or an explosion or whatever, he would be keeping his eye out for those who were helping, for those who were saving the hurting, maybe the ambulance drivers or the citizens who were going in to rescue other people. And it's this perspective in the darkness, in the chaos, in the violence, in the disappointment, in the pain, and the sorrow. She was saying, look to the helper. And in the same way, in Lamentations, out of this whole book that I'm so glad we have that talks about real pain, real sorrow, real disappointment and devastation, there's this glimpse of light in chapter 3 of the book. There's this little glimpse that says, look at who's helping. It's the Lord who helps us. It's the Lord who is by our side, never letting us down, even in the midst of great pain, sorrow, loss, grief, disappointment, sickness, all those things that we may be going through. It says in Lamentations 3, we look to the Lord. He is our helper. He has never let us down. He is right beside us in the midst of it. He will never let us go. The promise is not that we will be without pain, but the promise is that we have a helper in the midst of it. I hope that encourages you today as you speak to the Lord about where you're at too. God bless you.